You don't wake up and decide to become someone else. You don't plan it. You don't announce it. You don't even notice it starting. It slips in quietly. It builds without noise. It grows through small moments, small edits, small adjustments that feel harmless at first. You walk into a room and something shifts, not outside, in you. You adjust instantly, not slowly, not carefully, precisely. You fix your posture. You control your face. You change your tone before you even speak. You edit your reaction before it even exists. And it feels smart. It feels controlled. It feels like you're doing the right thing. You call it awareness. You call it maturity. You call it knowing how to act. But it's pressure, and it's shaping you in real time. You don't ask what you want. You ask what works. You don't ask what feels right. You ask what fits. And that question alone rewrites everything. It rewrites how you speak. It rewrites how you act. It rewrites what you allow to exist about yourself. You don't express, you present. You don't react, you calculate. You don't move, you simulate. And by the time you act, it's already filtered. It's already shaped. It's already approved. And that's why it's dangerous, because it works. It works perfectly. People respond better. People stay comfortable. People accept you faster. So you repeat it. You refine it. You sharpen it. You become more precise, more controlled, more aligned with expectations, and less connected to yourself. And you don't feel it immediately. You don't collapse. You don't break. You don't fail. You succeed. And that success hides everything. It hides the loss. It hides the distance. It hides the quiet shift happening inside you. You think you're improving. You think you're leveling up. You think you're becoming better. But you're not adding. You're subtracting. You're removing everything that creates friction. You're removing everything that creates discomfort. You're removing everything that doesn't instantly fit. And what's left? Something smooth, something clean, something acceptable, something that moves perfectly through rooms without resistance. But something is missing, and you feel it. Not loudly, not dramatically, subtly, like a delay between you and your own actions, like you're slightly behind yourself, like you're watching instead of being, and you ignore it because everything else is working. You're getting approval, you're avoiding conflict, you're staying inside what's acceptable, and that feels safe, that feels correct, that feels like control. But control built on adjustment isn't control. It's dependency. Dependency on reactions. Dependency on expectations. Dependency on staying inside invisible lines you didn't create. And the more you depend, the more you adjust. And the more you adjust, the more you lose. And you don't notice what you lose. You don't see it disappear. You only feel it when it's gone. When you try to react honestly and it feels unnatural. When you try to speak freely and it feels risky. When you try to move without thinking and you hesitate. And that hesitation is everything. That hesitation is proof. That hesitation is the gap between who you are and who you've trained yourself to be. And that gap keeps growing. It grows in every decision. It grows in every filtered reaction. It grows in every moment you choose what works over what's real. And the system rewards it. It rewards smoothness. It rewards predictability. It rewards control. It rewards versions that don't disrupt. So you adapt. You get better at it. You master it. You become extremely good at being accepted and extremely distant from being real. You stop surprising the world. You stop surprising yourself. You become readable. You become predictable. You become easy to understand. And that's not power. That's compliance. Compliance disguised as growth. Compliance disguised as maturity. Compliance disguised as success. And you live inside it. You build inside it. You move inside it. And it becomes your identity. You don't feel fake. You feel functional. And that's the most dangerous state. Because functional people don't question. They continue. They improve the version that works. They polish it. They sharpen it. They protect it. And slowly, the real version gets buried. Not destroyed. Not erased. Buried. Under layers of adjustment. Under layers of correction. under layers of silent pressure guiding every move, and you don't fight it. You cooperate. You participate. You refine it. You become loyal to it. Because now there's something to lose. Now there's approval. Now there's validation. Now there's a version that works, and you don't want to break it. You don't want to risk it. So you stay inside it. You move carefully. You act precisely. You speak strategically. You choose correctly. Not freely, correctly. Correct for the room. Correct for the people. Correct for the expectations. And slowly, you forget what unfiltered feels like. You forget what instinct feels like. You forget what it means to move without checking first. And now, you're consistent. You're stable. You're reliable. Not to yourself, to others. They can read you. They can expect you. They know exactly how you'll respond. And that's rewarded. That's praised. That's called growth. But it's not. It's alignment. Alignment with invisible rules. Alignment with expectations that were never spoken, but always present. And you follow them. Not because you have to, because you've learned to, because you've become good at it, because it works. And the better it works, the harder it is to stop. The better you get at fitting, the further you move from being. You don't collapse. You don't break. You don't fail. You succeed, and that success becomes the mask. It becomes the reason you don't question anything. It becomes the proof that what you're doing is right, and that's why it's dangerous. Because nothing feels wrong. Nothing feels broken. Nothing feels like a problem. And yet, something is missing. Something real. Something raw. Something unfiltered. And you can't access it easily anymore. Because everything is processed. Everything is shaped. Everything is adjusted before it even exists. And now, you hesitate before being real. You hesitate before speaking truth. You hesitate before acting without calculation. And that hesitation becomes your new normal. And that's the shift. That's the moment where you stop being influenced and start being controlled. Not by people, not directly, by expectation, by patterns, by reactions you've trained yourself to predict. You become your own filter. You become your own pressure. You become your own system, and it runs automatically. You don't think about it. You don't question it. You don't stop it. You follow it, and it leads you perfectly. It leads you safely. It leads you smoothly. And it leads you away from yourself. And you don't notice how far you've gone. Because every step made sense. Every adjustment worked. Every decision was correct. And that's the problem. You didn't make wrong choices. You made correct ones. Correct ones that slowly replaced who you are with what works. And one day, you stop and look. Everything is fine. Everything is stable. Everything is working. Everything looks right from the outside. But inside, there's distance. Not chaos. Not failure. Distance. A quiet gap between who you are and who you consistently show. A gap built from thousands of silent adjustments, thousands of small edits, thousands of moments where you chose what works over what's real. And now it's too consistent to notice, it's too stable to question, it's too effective to break. And that's why it continues. Not because it's strong, because it's invisible. And the more invisible it is, the more control it has. And the more control it has, the less you question. And the less you question, the further you move. And the further you move, the harder it is to return. And the harder it is to return, the more you commit. And the more you commit, the more you protect. And the more you protect, the more you become. And at some point, it's no longer something you follow. It's something you are. And that's the final shift. Not becoming someone else, but becoming a version built entirely under silent pressure and calling it yourself. And it doesn't stop there. It deepens. It spreads. It enters places you didn't expect. It enters how you think about your future. It enters how you measure success. It enters how you define value. You stop chasing what matters to you. You start chasing what proves something to others. You don't build for meaning. You build for validation. You don't move for yourself. You move for reaction. Not loudly, not dramatically. Subtly, you start needing it. You start expecting it. You start depending on it. And without it, you feel unstable. Not because something is wrong, because something is missing. And That missing piece is something you slowly traded away. You traded it for acceptance. You traded it for smoother paths. You traded it for fewer problems. And it felt worth it at the time. It always does. But the longer you stay inside that version, the harder it becomes to step outside it. Because now there's a structure. Now there's a system. Now there's a version of you that works in every room. And breaking it feels like losing everything. Not just people, not just approval, control, stability, identity, everything you built on top of it. So you stay inside the lines, you stay inside the version, you stay inside what works, and the distance grows, and the silence grows, and the pressure remains. Not loud, not aggressive, not visible, but constant, and that constant pressure keeps shaping you, keeps adjusting you, keeps refining you into something cleaner, smoother, more acceptable, and further away from something real. And at some point, you don't even remember the difference clearly. You just feel it. You feel the gap. You feel the distance. You feel the quiet absence of something that used to be natural and now feels unfamiliar. And that's when it becomes permanent. Not because it has to, because you stopped questioning it, because you accepted it, because you adapted to it, and because it worked. And that's all it needed to do. Work, and in working perfectly, it replaced you slowly, precisely, completely.